You know the zombies from the movies, right? The slow, groaning, flesh-eating undead? Total Hollywood invention. But what if I told you zombies are, in a way, very, very real? Thing is, to find them, we don't need a movie set. We just need a microscope. Let's dive in.
So let's just get it out of the way. Are they real? Well, yeah, kinda. But it's definitely not what you're picturing. We're not talking about some global apocalypse. We're talking about something way more subtle and honestly, a lot weirder.
See, in the world of biology, a zombie is something else entirely. It's an organism that is 100% alive, but its behavior is completely controlled by something else. A parasite, a fungus, a virus. It is the ultimate hostile takeover. The host is still living and breathing, but it is no longer in the driver's seat.
And believe me, this isn't some one-off freaky thing. Nature is absolutely filled with these tiny, terrifying puppet masters. And they've had millions of years to perfect the art of hijacking another creature's body. So let's look at some of the craziest cases out there.
All right, first up, we've got to talk about the poster child for all things biological zombie, the zombie ant. And we have a fungus called Ophiocordyceps to thank for it. This is a straight-up horror story, playing out every single day on the forest floor.
Now, this isn't just some regular infection. It's like a 4-act play with terrifying precision. First, spores get into the ant. Then, the fungus basically hotwires its central nervous system, forcing the poor ant on a final, unwilling death march. It makes it climb a plant to the perfect height and humidity, lock its jaws in a permanent death grip, and then it dies. But the show's not over. The fungus then sprouts a stalk right out of the ant's head and rains down more spores on the unsuspecting colony below. Talk about a meticulous villain.
So, if the fungus was a surgeon, our next puppet master is more like a wickedly clever spy. Meet Toxoplasma gondii. It's a parasite whose entire life goal is to get inside a cat. And its favorite ride to get there? An unsuspecting mouse. Okay, think about it. A normal mouse smells a cat, it is out of there, right? Survival 101. But a mouse infected with this parasite, its brain gets totally rewired. It doesn't just lose its fear of cats, it actually becomes attracted to the smell of their pee. Of course, this makes the mouse a super easy snack, and just like that, the parasite gets into the cat and completes its life cycle. It's literally a fatal attraction engineered by a microscopic mastermind.
And this isn't just a two-horse race. This kind of puppetry is all over the place. Get this, there are things called hairworms that infect crickets and then force them to jump into the nearest body of water and drown themselves. Why? So the worm can emerge and reproduce. Yeah, a temporary mind control that has a, let's just say, a very permanent, very soggy ending for the cricket. But hey, it's not just parasites and fungi having all the fun. A virus can do the job too, just with a lot less style. Take rabies. Unlike the fungus's surgical plan, rabies is all about brute force. It unleashes pure, chaotic aggression to make its host bite, and in doing so, spread the virus.
And what's so wild is that each of these hijackers has its own MO, its own style. The Ophiocordyceps fungus goes for total, permanent, and fatal control of the body. Toxoplasma is way more subtle. It just rewrites one little bit of code in the brain's fear response, and it's a long-lasting effect. And rabies? Rabies just throws a grenade into the system, creating chaos until the host dies. 3 hijackers, 3 completely different strategies, all with the same chilling goal. Spread yourself, no matter what it costs the guy you're living in.
Okay. Zombie ants, cool. Fearless rats, hilarious. But let's get to the real question. The one you've all been thinking this whole time. Could this kind of total mind control actually happen to a person? Well, first we gotta draw a big line in the sand between Hollywood and reality. A movie zombie is undead, it's a reanimated corpse. But when we see zombie-like states in humans, we're talking about living people. And the cause is usually something like synthetic drugs, certain neurological disorders, or even neurotoxins that can make someone delirious or seem paralyzed.
So in us, these symptoms usually come from something internal or something we ingest.
Think of the wild delirium caused by drugs like bath salts or the coma-like states from powerful toxins. But here's the absolute key. There's no puppet master pulling the strings. These are system malfunctions, not targeted manipulations. And they're almost always temporary, not the beginning of the end of the world.
So that kind of begs the question, right? Why are we so special? How can a fungus hijack an ant's brain with pinpoint accuracy, but it can't do the same to us?
Well, the short answer is we have some serious biological armor. For starters, our central nervous system is just ridiculously complex. A simple parasite can't just waltz in and hotwire it. On top of that, our immune system is like a top-tier security force, taking out most invaders before they can do any real damage. But maybe the biggest reason of all, these parasites are specialists. They're picky eaters. They've spent millions of years evolving the perfect key for one specific lock. An ant, a cricket, a mouse. They just don't have the tools to pick the lock on a human.
So you can relax, no zombie apocalypse. But here's the thing, and this is the final twist. In a lot of ways, what's actually happening out there in nature is way more impressive, and maybe even scarier than anything Hollywood has ever come up with. I mean, think about it. A movie zombie is just clumsy. It stumbles around, driven by one simple, crude urge. But that Ophiocordyceps fungus? It executes a complex, multi-stage plan with surgical precision, right down to the specific leaf vein the ant needs to bite. The level of control you see in the real world isn't just different from the movies. It is way more sophisticated, and honestly, that's way more terrifying. Alright, so after that deep dive into some of nature's darkest corners, what's the final verdict on biological zombies? Here's the takeaway, the stuff you really need to remember. Real zombies are definitely out there, but they're living creatures being controlled, not the Walking Dead. That control can be temporary, it can be permanent, or it can be fatal. Luckily for us, our own biology is our best defense against that kind of total takeover. So yeah, you can sleep soundly tonight. The movie-style apocalypse is staying firmly in the world of fiction. So while you don't need to start boarding up your windows, it's worth remembering this. We don't need fiction to find horror, or for that matter, to find wonder. Nature's ability to manipulate life is often far stranger and way more precise than anything we could possibly imagine.